you deserve. Joe and his team understand the emotional and financial toll that an injury can take on you and your life. Call 213-747-2000 or visit normandlegal.com. The law offices of Joseph S. Normand have helped thousands of people like you recover millions of dollars in settlements and verdicts. Visit normandlegal.com or call 213-747-2000. Your recovery is their priority.
Waba Grill is an LA original, so we've got to keep it real. Real fresh with our Asian-inspired menu that's grilled to order every time.
Take me up and never put me down.
Real quality with our marinated proteins like hormone-free chicken, ribeye steak, wild-caught salmon, and shrimp. Enjoy $5 happy hour weekdays after 3 p.m. with our 5-piece pork veggie dumplings and a value-sized premium beverage drink like our creamy and delicious Thai tea. Waba Grill, keeping it real every day for you.
ESPN LA is hitting the road. Tune in Wednesday, July 30th to Sedano and Cap as we broadcast live from SeaWorld San Diego. We'll explore the incredible world of orcas, sea otters, jellyfish, shark pups, and ocean rescue, including the thrills of Summer Spectacular, packed with epic hydro shows, concerts, fireworks, maybe even a few surprises. Wednesday, July 30th, live from SeaWorld San Diego. SeaWorld San Diego. Open your world to something amazing.
710 ESPN, the radio home of the purple and gold, and the home of Lakers Talk. It's a new edition of Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Lakers Talk is on. Here's Andy Kamenetsky.
What is up, Laker fans? This is Lakers Talk. Andy Kamenetsky, 710 ESPN. Apologize for the delays getting going. Cappy and Beto for Sedano and Cap. They were over at Rams training camp live, and towards the end, they had an opportunity to talk with both Sean McVay and Puka Nacua. So you're damn right they're going to take that opportunity. So bled into the 6 o'clock hour, but we got a lot to get into today. I got two great guests. In about 10 minutes, going to talk with Jason Timpf, excellent basketball podcast, Hoops Tonight, over at the Volume Network. Really, really good Lakers and basketball analysis. Very entertaining show. That's at 6:30, 7:15. Going to talk with Anthony Slater, now part of the ESPN family, over at the .com. He's ESPN's newest NBA senior writer. He has covered the league and the Warriors for a long time. I want to ask him a little bit about the Lakers, but also something that's gone on with the Warriors that I think maybe could be instructional or informative in the way we look about the Lakers right now. I'm going to get into a lot of different stuff, including maybe some latest round of passive-aggressive messaging from LeBron James.
That's right, baby.
Yeah, the newest social media thing that we're all supposed to interpret because that's the way LeBron wants it. Although, to be clear, this is LeBron being included in a social media post as opposed to one directly from LeBron, but they are essentially one and the same. We might be getting some new clues about when Luka Doncic will sign an extension with the Lakers, and they are clues that I think will make Laker fans very happy. But, of course, we got to begin, and your calls, obviously, 877-710-ESPN. But we got to begin with the ultimate evidence that skinny Luka, the narrative that has been building ever since the Lakers got eliminated in the first round by the Wolves, and we kept hearing reports of Luka treating this offseason conditioning with a newfound zeal. To quote Terry Hatcher on Seinfeld, skinny Luka is real, and it is fantastic. And we are seeing the biggest evidence of this. Your boy is on the cover of Men's Health, full spread story about Luka's offseason regimen, the commitment that he has made towards diet, towards conditioning, towards exercise, towards completely reshaping his body. And it is not an exaggeration to say that he doesn't just look incredible. He looks like a different person. Like, I showed my wife and daughter, who both know who Luka Doncic is, the cover of him on Men's Health, DeAndre, and they both took a second. They're like, wait, that's Luka? Like,
yeah,
they
that's
did
crazy.
Not, they did not initially recognize Luka.
I mean, you heard it when, in our Sedano and Cap show, they asked, Puka, have they been seeing any pics of Luka Doncic? And even he was like, that's Luka? So, his focus in this offseason and what he has been going about, it's a really good sign to see as far as how much pride he's taken into his, his conditioning, his health. I've seen stuff in the, that article that, he's taking a whole new approach in his diet. It's all good signs.
Yeah, I mean, he said himself, quote, just visually, I would say my whole body looks better. He's on a new diet that's really super heavy protein, no gluten. He's been doing different types of just conditioning that don't even involve basketball. It's just a lot of work with reshaping his body. He looks, frankly, shredded. I mean, he looks like a completely different guy. This is straight up revenge body territory against the Dallas Mavericks, and I am so here for it. Like, anybody who's listening to this show right now that is a fan of another team, let me just say right now, our star, Luka Doncic, with the Lakers, he went out and now looks like a male model. He looks like a Calvin Klein model right now. And your dead-ass superstar sat around in the summer doing nothing.
Exactly.
Doing nothing.
Rack him.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Your dead-ass superstar sat around fat and happy while Luka Doncic looks incredible. And I want to get into, over the course of Lakers talk, the potential implications of Luka looking like this, both on the court, but also I think a vibe that he could create for the entire team. But coming up next, though, I want to talk with Jason Timpf. We are going to get into Skinny Luka, among other things involving the Lakers. Again, the host of Hoops Tonight, great Lakers analysis. We're going to want to get into that. So that's next with Jason Timpf. Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetsky, 710 ESPN.
That's the ease at which you get information. You want it, you get it. Like that. Ask your phone. Group chat. Smartphone. You're always connected and informed in real time. No waiting. So if you're diabetic and still using finger sticks to read your blood sugar, what are you waiting for? Knowing your blood sugar levels instantly is important for managing diabetes. Call US Med at 888-665-0696. To learn more about continuous glucose monitors, a real-time instant method to track your blood glucose, US Med is an approved provider for Medicare and over 1,000 private insurers. And the best part? Call 888-665-0696 and we'll give you a free insurance benefits check today. So call 888-665-0696 today. That's 888-665-0696. And manage your diabetes as easy as...
Beat the heat this summer with NextGen, the official AC plumbing and electrical company of SoCal sports fans. If your AC breaks down, don't hesitate. Call NextGen now and enjoy expert installation on any new system. For a limited time, combat SoCal's air quality and reduce dust in your home with a free no-ozone air purifier included with any new AC system install. Call 833-3NEXTGen or visit nextgenairandplumbing.com to book online. CSLB number 1011173, lifetime warranty on selected items.
You know that feeling. You're finally asleep and bam, a leg cramp comes out of nowhere. Look, I've played through pain, but waking up with a leg cramp at 3 a.m., that sucks. So I don't mess around anymore. I keep Highland's Leg Cramps PM on my nightstand. No groggy side effects, no harsh meds, just a fast, effective relief that lets me sleep through the night without the Charlie horse surprise. Get the sleep you need with Highland's Leg Cramps PM. Get it today at Walmart, Walgreens, or CVS. Highland's Leg Cramps PM, because you don't need a midnight workout.
Accident or injury, call Jacob and Ronnie. Call Jacob.
Summer is here. You made it. And one of Jacob and Ronnie's new billboards says, don't just exist, live. It's the kind of message that hits you, especially if you're dealing with the aftermath of a crash or an injury. Jacob doesn't just handle cases, he helps people move forward, take their life back, and get the justice that they deserve. If you've been injured in any accident, don't settle for silence or pain. Call someone who's been standing up for LA families since the 90s. Jacob will fight for the maximum compensation, and you pay nothing unless he wins. When you call an attorney, you want one who's respected. So call Jacob, because he's the real deal. Call him at 844-24-JACOB. That's 844-24-JACOB, 844-24-JACOB, or visit him online at calljacob.com, a proud partner of the Rams, Lakers, and LAFC.
Accident or injury, call Jacob and Ronnie. Call Jacob.
Purple Wave Auction remains the trusted leader in online equipment auctions. What makes the difference is you. You are part of our growing global community that continues to trust Purple Wave with the equipment that builds and feeds America. This trust placed in us by our community, from construction to ag producers and fleet drivers, brings great equipment opportunities to their next owners. Join the Purple Wave community today. purplewave.com.
With Robinhood, not only can you trade individual stocks and ETFs, you can also seamlessly buy and sell crypto at low costs. Trade all in one place. Get started now on Robinhood. Trading crypto involves significant risk. Crypto trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Crypto LLC. Robinhood Crypto is licensed to engage in virtual currency business activity by the New York State Department of Financial Services. Crypto held through Robinhood Crypto is not FDIC insured or SIPC protected. Investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Securities trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, a registered broker-dealer.
All the latest surrounding the Lake Show, right here on Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Now back to Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky.
Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetsky, ESPN LA, 710. My first guest, Jason Timpf. Great follow and listen if you want to be better educated about the Lakers or the NBA at large. He is the host of Hoops Tonight, part of the Volume Sports Network. You can follow him on Twitter at _JasonLT. Jason, man, how are you doing?
I'm good, Andy. It's good to see you. I'm all fired up this morning. I saw the Men's Health Luka article, and now I'm ready to run through a wall. I'm like, I just finished with NBA Summer League. You'd think I should be chilling out and trying to like relax, and instead I'm like, can October get here so I can watch this dude play some basketball? I'm gonna have to watch Eurobasket this year just to scratch the itch.
I know. I've had a bunch of our listeners over either here at Lakers Talk or at Locked On Lakers asking if I'm going to be covering Eurobasket. And I'm like, well, first I have to figure out what it is, because I don't even know what, like, it sounds made up. I have no idea what Eurobasket is, but absolutely. I'm going to do my best to relay, if nothing else, what Luka is doing. And let's start with Luka, the new Men's Health cover boy. He is looking shredded, like a Calvin Klein model who plays basketball. There's like details in there about the work he's done this offseason, the commitment that he plans to put towards peak fitness moving forward. First of all, what was your reaction? Because we've been hearing the skinny Luka narrative for a while, but you wonder how much of this is angles or just random stuff that you see on social. Like, this is Men's Health. Like, we know at this point, like, this is a real deal.
Yeah, obviously there was that little bit of a feeling when you're reading it where it's like, yeah, it's cool and it's exciting and I can't wait to watch Luka play and all that stuff. But then there's always that little bit of like, yeah, why weren't you doing this in previous off seasons? Like there's a little bit of that too, where he was kind of leaning into I didn't know what I was doing for the first 4 to 5 years of my career. I'd go home and I didn't have any accountability and that kind of, it was definitely a little bit interesting on that level. But the part that stood out to me immediately was the stuff with his diet. I mean, anyone who's ever done any sort of fluctuating with their body weight, which I would assume we all have at various points. I didn't start dealing with it until just in the last couple of years, but the kitchen is where most of the damage is done. Like, let's just be 100% clear. Like I recently had a stretch where I was pushing almost 240 pounds and I was specifically having a problem with late night snacking. And then when my wife and I moved to Denver over the course of the previous couple weeks, I straight up stopped snacking at night. And I dropped like 9 pounds, like nothing, like immediately, because I was consuming an extra like 5,000 or 6,000 calories a week in just late night snacking. That's really the thing that stood out to me, him being on that fasting schedule and cutting out sugar from his diet and leaning more towards being very heavy on protein and just kind of getting his diet under control. if you do that, you can drop weight quickly. And that was the part that stood out to me, because like his body will be able to hold up under the workouts. And it's not like Luka wasn't playing basketball. We saw in the article they talked about, they looked at him and said, hey, you can't touch a basketball for a month. And that was hard for him because he's a basketball nut job who loves to play. And so his body will be fine under the workload as long as he's fueling it properly. And it seems like that has been the primary point of emphasis this summer. And I would imagine that's done the lion's share of the work of getting him into shape.
One of the things also that really jumped out to me is when he said about keeping this up, essentially, if I don't, all of it will be for nothing. And that can be an incredible motivating factor as well for, it's comparable to any type of lifestyle change that you want to make, whether you're talking about dropping weight or like, quitting smoking, quitting alcohol, like whatever, like, it's not apples to apples, but like if somebody gets sober and they've got like 270 days under their belt, that becomes a motivating factor, because the idea of I've gone this far and I take pride in it and I'm enjoying it can be a motivating factor beyond just double middle fingers to Nico, which I believe there's an element of this as well, which I'm cool with. Luka wanted to get his revenge body on the Lakers dime.
We're on the right side of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned before, Jason, we're talking with Jason Timpf, the host of Hoops Tonight, part of the Volume Sports Network. You can follow him on Twitter, _JasonLT, Andy Kamenetsky, Lakers Talk, 710 ESPN. Like the idea of you could have done this before with Dallas, or, they could have had the hard conversations that needed to be had and apparently didn't. And whatever led us to where we are now, if this keeps, if like this becomes the new version of Luka, where are the areas that you think it could be most beneficial on the court?
Yeah, it's so fascinating because you're so right in the sense that 3 days on vacation where you lose control of your diet, you could put 7-8 pounds back on like that. Like you can undo it so fast if you're not careful. That's why that mentality is so important. I think there's several areas. Before we get into anything having to do with the basketball in terms of like some specifics that he might be more explosive or something along those lines, I just expect him to hold up better. Like this is a guy that's dealt with a bulky knee over the course of the last couple of years. And I think a big part of that has been carrying around extra weight. I was talking about this. We just started our player rankings videos today. And number 25 on my list was Jamal Murray. And he kind of falls into a similar category in the sense that like, I don't think it's a coincidence that he's banged up consistently at the end of each season when he comes into each season out of shape and he's playing his way into shape, but he experiences more inflammation, which they talked a lot about in that article, but inflammation and pain and wear and tear, that stuff accumulates faster when you're carrying extra weight and your body's not conditioned for what you're trying to do. I expect Luka, obviously anything fluky could happen, like an ankle turn or something like that could keep him out of the lineup, but I expect him to avoid the nagging injuries this year. And that should keep him on the floor more consistently and closer to his peak throughout the season. I think that's going to be the biggest manifestation of it. In terms of the actual basketball, I think there's a little bit of a give and take with Luka dropping weight. Like him being really, really, really big was something that he used to his advantage a lot, especially with like physical leverage in ball screens and like getting the defender trapped on his side and things along those lines. I think that it'll be a little bit of a give and take in the sense that I think he'll be quicker and more explosive, and there'll be certain types of defenders that he'll have more success against. Like I would imagine Luka will be substantially better beating bigs and switches this year because of that additional foot speed and things along those lines. But he might not be as, resilient against the Jaden McDaniels types that he used to be able to throw around like rag dolls. A big part of it too is going to be how much of his weight is he replacing with functional strength rather than just dropping weight? I think that's going to be a big kind of like differentiator between potential outcomes for him this year. But I think durability is the big one. And then I think he will be better. I just think it will manifest in different ways than it did when he was kind of a tank, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're talking with Jason Timpf. He is the host of Hoops Tonight for the Volume Sports Network. You can follow him on Twitter, _JasonLT. What do you think of the Lakers offseason? Like at this point, I think things are starting to settle down. There could be a trade before training camp begins, but for the time being, nobody seems to think it's imminent. As far as what they've done so far, thumbs up, thumbs down.
It's all relative to their kind of like big picture goals. Like if you told me, how can the Lakers most improve their roster without conceding a single first round pick or signing any player to a deal that sacrifices long-term cap flexibility? If you add those confines,
right,
I think it's an A+ summer. You upgraded the 2 starting positions that you needed to upgrade, which was somebody at the 2 or 3 that was a legitimate 2-way high-level starter, which, again, Marcus Smart comes with his own shortcomings, which we'll talk about in a second. But like DeAndre Ayton, similarly, at the starting center position, brought a level of athleticism and just 2-way capability, talent level, even though Ayton's had his defensive issues over the years. Those 2 guys are, at least in theory, starting upgrades at the 2 positions that they needed starting upgrades. Now, for Ayton, it's a little bit of injuries. It's a little bit of unprofessionalism. It's a little bit of just lack of competitive fire, whatever you want to call it. With Marcus Smart, it's just injuries. But the point is if you're going to get 2 legitimate starting caliber upgrades without conceding a first round pick and without signing a player to a contract that confines you in the future, you're kind of limited to these dudes that are going to fall into biannual exceptions and portions of the mid-level exception. The only way you're going to get players like that is if they come with big question marks. So like, I think if you hyper focus on those big question marks, you're not acknowledging the reality of the confines that the Lakers were trying to operate in. Now, I have my own personal levels of disagreement with their overall focus, in the sense that I don't necessarily see a trade out there right now, but I'm worried that if one materializes, like let's say the Pacers struggle out the gates and they make a guy like an Aaron Nesmith available, for example. In the event of that happening, I don't trust the Lakers to be the kind of team that places value on that type of player, which is frustrating to me because I would argue alongside Luka Doncic, an excellent athlete that can guard multiple positions, that is a legitimate bona fide primary point of attack guy, who's an awesome catch and shoot shooter and a great closeout attacker, has more value in the context of Luka than most players do. Like I think Luka's the kind of player that benefits from high level role player talent more than supporting stars, because he's just such a high usage on ball player. And I think the Lakers not placing value on that type of player could come back to bite them. I think them holding out for the right superstar trade is kind of a mistake. I would be hunting super high level 2-way starters to go around Luka. And Nesmith is an asset. If you were to give up a first round pick, and forget about Nesmith in particularly, just that type of player, a starting caliber role player, will the Lakers jump on that if it comes available? That's where I differ from them in their approach. But within the summer, I think they've done well.
Yeah, and that's something really interesting, Jason. We're talking with Jason Timpf, the host of Hoops Tonight for the Volume Sports Network, that I find this really interesting and something just to watch with the Lakers, because for the time being, like, the reports of the 2026 or even 2027 plan that you're alluding to, where unless it's a superstar, they don't want to commit to anything beyond those years because they want to maintain maximum flexibility for Giannis or Jokic or pick superstar X. Like, if that's truly plan A, I agree with you. That's a bad way to go about doing this. And it's frankly just kind of a dumb plan. But I need to see actual evidence of them passing up actual opportunity costs, before I start getting upset about it. Because for the time being, again, as dumb as I would find this plan, it doesn't seem like they've actually let opportunities like you talked about, like an Aaron Nesmith type, who I agree would be very helpful. It doesn't feel like they've actually let those opportunities go by. So until something like that, like we start seeing guys like that move, and for prices that the Lakers could pay, I'm going to be watching for it, but I'm not yet going to get upset over it, because it just, the closest thing we've seen to something like that is Andrew Wiggins. Like, the reports for a little while that Miami wanted a first round pick along with, say, Rui and whatever salary balancer and maybe Dalton Connect. I wouldn't do that because I think it's an overpay for Andrew Wiggins. So I'm not going to get mad at them for not overpaying for Aaron Wiggins. But the context with all this stuff really does matter. Who of the new guys, though, are you most potentially excited about in terms of what they can bring to this team?
Yeah, that's an important clarification. I 100% agree. I don't think the Lakers have passed on a deal this summer that they should have taken. And I agree. I would not give up first-round draft compensation for Andrew Wiggins because he's 30 years old and he doesn't fit Luka's timeline. I think Andrew Wiggins, if you could pick him and put him up on, like if you did make that trade, I think it would give them a very good chance to win the title this year. I think he addresses a super specific need for them. But I understand not wanting to sacrifice the future. That all makes sense to me. I am very excited to watch DeAndre Ayton this year. It's funny, I've made this joke before, but I have no interest in him after this year because let's say, for instance, he plays well and he signs that 4-year, $120 million deal or 115, whatever it is. At that point, I don't want any part of the DeAndre Ayton business. but for this particular season, when he's in a contract year and he's trying to rehab his value and playing alongside Luka Doncic, like I think even DeAndre Ayton's biggest offensive weakness in pick and roll, which is that he's not a great screener, I view as less important alongside Luka Doncic, who's so gifted at taking the tiniest little advantage and turning it into dribble penetration. So like, I think Ayton is going to be a monster. I was listening to Zach Lowe and Bill Simmons the other day, and I think Zach predicted like 16-8. I could see Ayton going for like 18-12 this year. I could see him having like a monster season alongside Luka. I think that let me just put it very bluntly. I think Ayton substantially raises the offensive ceiling of this team. I think without Ayton, they're like somewhere in the 6 to 10 range as an offense. I think with Ayton, they're like a bona fide top 3 or 4 offense in the NBA.
What about Ayton specifically makes you feel like he's going to raise the level that much?
So he is, first of all, he rolls hard and he's a very good vertical spacer with great hands who finishes around the rim extremely well. But secondly, he's actually like kind of Joel Embiid-esque guy that can catch at the foul line in the roll and knock down mid-range jump shots at an extremely high level. So like, I think he just brings a lot of pick and roll scoring out of that spot. And let me just put it this way. I think he's a substantially better offensive role man than any of the centers that suited up for the Lakers last year alongside Luka. What that in turn does is actually force the defense to react to the role, which then unlocks one of Luka's best traits, which is he's one of the best skip passers in the NBA, and the Lakers are going to have high-level offensive players on the back line. I think the one thing that they need is if Austin and LeBron can come together as catch-and-shoot players, like if they can do that, I think this offense has the potential to be truly elite this year.
Do you think Ayton can also help in some ways with the switch busting and some of the issues the Lakers had last year navigating against switches? Just the idea of that there's only so many guys you can switch onto him or else he can really overpower them. And he is actually somebody you have to account for offensively in ways you didn't necessarily have to with like Jackson Hayes.
I find him to be a particularly frustrating post-up player to watch. He doesn't see the floor really well, and he settles for some unnecessarily difficult shots there. I think the big part of it is going to be, can JJ and Luka and LeBron kind of refine and simplify his post-up to attack to more like duck-ins and quick finishes rather than like traditional like pound the ball type of post-ups. He does he shoots a flat hook shot, and he's not good at his turnaround jump shots. Like he's a very good mid-range shooter, but he's not good shooting out of the post. It's kind of like a weird kind of circumstance for him. And so I would look at him as more of a weapon against switching as an offensive rebounder than as a post-up threat. But he's certainly better